What's up, y'all? In this video, I'm going to show you a comprehensive walkthrough of the MPC workflow. We'll be covering things like sample chopping, drum sequencing, recording, and more. And I'm going to show you how to use the Splice integration, which is a really big unlock for the newer MPCs. Now, I'm going to use the MPC One Plus, but you can follow along with any MPC. And in fact, if you don't have an MPC, maybe you're just curious about this hardware workflow, this video can still be valuable for you. I have just started my MPC One Plus, and you can see the starting screen. I recommend exploring all of these templates. They're a great way to learn about the instruments and sounds that's already on your MPC, but let's go ahead and select Empty Project. And this is the main screen that shows your sequences, your tracks, and your drum programs. This is a very important hierarchy to understand when working in the MPC workflow. If you're already coming from a digital audio workstation, you can think of them as maybe your scenes. These are going to be your tracks, and your programs are going to be your individual instruments. So your drums, your synths, your bass lines. So there's a few ways you can load samples. You can use the SD card. You can sample it directly using the inputs in the back. We've got a short on our channel explaining how to do both. So we need some sounds to start this idea. I've actually gone to Splice and gone through this Dusty Crates pack. If your MPC supports Wi-Fi, which most of the new ones do, you can sync Splice Sounds wirelessly to your MPC. I'm gonna hit Menu to go to Preferences. And this is actually a great screen to look at. This is where you can access basically all your panels. I'm gonna go to Preferences, and I can go to Splice to make sure I'm logged in. If you don't know how to log in, we'll have a video link to quickly show you how. So going back to this main section, I could go to Menu and I could go to Browser, but there are dedicated buttons, and depending on which MPC model you have, you might have to hit Shift and another button to get to your browser, say the MPC Live, or on this MPC One Plus, I can just directly hit the Browse button. So in the content section, you can see the built-in drums, instruments, and samples. You can see your Splice directory right here, and Splice already has it organized by some useful categories, and a really useful trick I like doing. So I'm going to go to the pack. This is the data knob, and I can just scroll through. You can also use plus or minus here. And I'm going to go to the Dusty Crates pack. So if I want to actually bookmark this, I can hit Shift and then one of the folder options. So if I hit Shift and 1, now if I go to 2, and go back to 1, you can see it's bookmarked at 1. You can adjust the audition volume right at the bottom, turn it on and off, and have it warp to your project. That's very useful. Let's go to the loops and load in a melodic loop. We're gonna go to Song Starters. Oh yeah, I really like that one. Yeah, I really like this one. I'm gonna select this one and we're gonna load it by hitting load. Now, even though I just hit load, it did not load to any of these pads. We need to visit the sample assign window, and there is actually a way to directly load it to the pad, but just in case, it's good to know this. Your sample assigns here. These are gonna be your sample pool with all your sounds. Just simply hit the sample and whatever pad selected, hit the enter by clicking in on the data knob. So now it's up here. Double click on the stop button to stop the sample. Now there's a few ways we can work from here, but I actually kind of want to chop this sample up a little bit. So to get to sample edit, you can go to the menu section and go to sample edit at the very top left, but there's a dedicated button on the MPC One Plus, which is really nice. So from this screen where we were, the browse menu, we can go to sample edit. So the green button starts the sample, red pads stop it. And if you want to adjust where the sample starts, it's as simple as dragging on the touch screen, which I actually really love doing this, and then zooming in, pinch to zoom. So that's a good way. But as you could just see, I actually brought up the Q knobs, and that's a very important MPC workflow. So these are the quick links. This quick link will essentially map to any of the parameters that have this little Q icon. Now these 4 knobs are all mapped to the start, and they just do it at different intensity. So this is very minor adjustments versus very, very minor adjustments versus more macro adjustments. So all 4 of these knobs are actually adjusting the start and now the end at different degrees. But actually I want to chop it to different pads, and there's a few ways to do this. Of course, there's a few ways to do everything as you see. One of the cool ways is just to go to the bottom, hit trim, and it'll actually switch to the chop panel. And as you can see, there's 4 methods of here manually chopping, so we can hit it from the start. So that actually just jumped into a different bank even. So our banks are over here, bank A, bank B. So I'm actually, you could see in bank B now, if I hit bank A. Now undo is a very important button, and actually the most important button, I kind of talked about it, but shift. So if I wanted to get into any of these other banks, shift, we'll get into bank C. So there's anything below it, and there are a lot of important shift commands. And actually, if you notice, anytime there's a menu down here, holding shift will generally give you another option, which we're going to go to convert in a second. So really quickly, we're going to go to bank A where this was. I'm going to hit undo, very important. And it'll undo each manual slice, which is nice. And the other methods are threshold. So this will automatically detect, very similar to maybe simpler sensitivity, and regions, which will just be kind of even regions, or BPM, which you can define. I like threshold, and I'm going to take it down. I'm going to manually adjust it right here. That chop is no good. And 2 has been kind of truncated. So I'm going to have to zoom in, zoom in. If we don't do link slices, this can actually not get chopped up. You saw that issue where I dragged 3 before 2 and then 2 became nothing. It's like, oh no. So if that ever happens to you, you can actually unlink slices. That's a very useful tip. It's actually nice to get like variations on slices. All right, so then let's expand these. Actually, I'm gonna undo. Let's get back to sensitivity. Like this is nice home base. All right, so I found an idea. Ooh, that one's nice. Oh, wrong one. Now the last important step to get this into a drum program so we can play it in one of our tracks is to convert it using the shift menu and hit convert. And we can say a new drum program using slices, non-destructive. So that means we can kind of expand the slices or make them smaller rather than it committing to each individual chop. And then we'll just say do it. So now let's go to the main menu, so main section. I referenced sequence, track, and drum program at the beginning. We're just on our very first track. We're going to go to this one and rename it chord chops. You can cycle through your programs with the data knob on the drum program and cycle through tracks this way as well. Same with sequences. There's actually a next sequence button dedicated right here. Boom. Goes into the sequence mode. And you can actually kind of go through your whole song this way. This is like the song mode. So let's go ahead and record. And now we're going to go to the clip, hit shift stop to go to the very beginning. Stop will just kind of stop you there, pause it. Play start will actually always go from the beginning. So we can, or shift stop will get you back stopped at the beginning. So go ahead, hit record and hit play. I'm going to stop it, and if I hit play again, the metronome's still going, and we can kind of change the metronome behavior right at the very top under the metronomes icon. So on the enable field, let's just go back to play and turn it off. So now let's get in some drums by going into a new track. So the 2 is unused. We can go to a new drum program by hitting plus, go to our directory 1, which was the Dusty Crates pack, go to one shots, drums, and actually looks like they're separated already here. So I'm going to go to kicks, whatever pad's highlighted now is what it'll load to. So cinnamon, and then you can go back, go to snare. Sounds pretty nice. I like playing the pads in, but you might not want to, and we can sequence the pads as well. So if you want a step sequence, you can go to the dedicated step sequence button on the MPC, or you can go through the menu. Remember, the menu has everything. And once you're in the step sequence, whatever pad you hit is not the sound, it's where in the sequence you're inputting notes and the velocity of the notes. So that's nice. You can really quickly do, different velocities. Oh, and let's make the bars one length. So that pad is our hi-hat. We can keep going down. So AO1 is our kick, AO2 is our snare, AO3 is our hi-hat. And if I want maybe the upbeats, I could go like this, make it a little harder, right? And then go to minus. So the snare we'll do on 2 and 4. Nice and loud, nice and loud. So now it's clipping pretty badly, so I'm going to go to the mixer, and that's important. So we can do pad mix or track mix. Track mix, there's 3 tracks. Again, this first track, disregard. So this will be the chord chops, and this will be the drums. We can take the levels down right here. So you can see the step sequence pattern fully here in piano roll, but I actually want to record my drums. So I'm going to go ahead, reset this by hitting bars 4, and then going to the main section and clearing this track. So now it's empty, it's 4 bars. Go back to track 2 and reset the drum program on the bottom. And let's just record in a pattern. So we're going to hit record, play. And actually that's going to start at measure 2. So I'm going to hit shift stop, record, play. That was time corrected. If you can tell, it had time correction on. If I don't want it to have time correction, I can undo. And if you hit the time correct button, or you go up to your menu, there's a time correction in the main section here, TC. This will bring up time correction, and that's important. Right now it's on. You can do, a percentage, the strength. I'm actually going to go to the strength and just lower it. I could turn it off completely, or you could apply quantization afterwards. There's a lot of methods of doing it. I like kind of doing it with a low time correction on. So we're going to hit shift stop, record, and play. Now, if overdub is on, if I put in more notes, it's going to add them to the pattern. If I want to delete this one singular note, I can just hit this erase button, just erase right there. Just go into the main section here. We've got, 2 tracks with drums and a chop sample with 2 different instruments. Maybe I did want to actually add a 3rd track with a VST, so that's cool to show. Let's just get in a sound. They have great sounds. I'll get a Mellotron really quick, some strings, or a choir, that's great. Voice choir, great, yep. And we can actually edit the instrument right here, very cool. Now to get the kind of preferences, we're gonna go to pad perform, and we can select our key here. So minor. I kind of want to get some effects on this track 3 plugin, and we're going to add it as the next sequence. So to get this next section of our song, we're going to go copy sequence and copy it to the next unused sequence. And we're going to name this like with choir. added. You know, we could have maybe called this verse, chorus, different sections of your song essentially. But now we have 2 sequences and they'll play. They're the same right now. So let's go to sequence 2 and add in that choir line. And track mix, really quickly, let's get in a reverb. So we can go to the delay reverb or reverb, you know, anything, those kind of things are gonna make sound good. Maybe a spring reverb. I wanna switch octaves really quickly. I can hit the different banks. And I think just more subtle. So this is gonna be 4 bars, hit record and hit play. Now for sequence 1, I'm just gonna remove the drums by going to track 2, doing the same thing, going to the edit, events, and clearing the track. Yep. Mess it up for now, if you want to trigger your sequences right away, you can go to sudden mode. So right now it's playing through this length of the sequence, 4 bars, you can see. And another fun thing to do at this point is add in the XY effects. You can actually hit Shift XY to get right there on the MPC One Plus. And there's a variety of different types of inserts. You can go to setup and change them. You know, this could be just a low pass filter. Ooh, with some LFO though. Now we go to the performance page. We go to the next sequence. And we can hit sudden, hit play. Alright, so I hope you learned something or gained some inspiration. If you did, subscribe to the channel and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Later.